Hello everyone, welcome back to the Twitter retention mini course. This is week 1, lesson 2, building authority. Okay, so authority. We're going to look at some important points for authority in this lesson. It may need to be an elaboration on authority. It really depends on what people think about this lesson. I can always do another over-the-shoulder recording to delve into this slightly deeper. So I'll put that question out on Discord to see what people think, whether they feel that they're comfortable enough with the concepts I've raised in this lesson. Okay, so authority and the need for a right side heavy ratio. Earlier this week, I uploaded my Twitterverse Beginner's Guide to Twitter, and I do elaborate on this quite a lot in that guide. So I'm going to just go through some bullet points on why this matters. People follow authority, so you have to position yourself as an authority, and that's because you are earning followers. A lot of times people think that they gain followers and they don't really put much thought into why someone would follow another account. They do so because of authority. People want to know that the person that they're spending their time following online knows what they're talking about. People buy from authority. If they don't trust the information you're presenting, you've lost the sale. You might actually have better information than other people within your niche, but it won't matter if that other person can position themselves with more authority. They'll buy from them instead. People are more open to learn from someone who has or shows authority. So if you want to provide a lesson, maybe it's in a tweet, people will listen to you if they buy into it, if they believe you. And that belief will stem from your ability to show and prove your authority. And so what we need to do is we need to look at ways to present authority from the offset, and that will be from your follower ratio, which is how many people you follow in comparison to how many people follow you, and it'll also be from your Twitter profile. So these are the things that people will see as an introduction. You don't get a chance to introduce yourself with content a lot of the time, or you can, but people will look at your profile, your bio, and your banner. These are the things that will make them decide whether they're going to give you their follow, and more importantly, their time. So I'm going to look at some examples of left side heavy accounts. I've made them as anonymous as possible. If for whatever reason you recognize the account, please just ignore that. And there's also something I'll point out. I took these images straight from the Twitterverse guide. These accounts may well have improved since then and changed from a left side to a right side heavy. But for the purpose of this lesson, we are going to be looking at, and I hope the screen recording picks this up, these figures here. So as you can see here, this person has approximately 423 people who they are following and 96 people following them. So this is what I refer to as a left side heavy account. Not massive ratio imbalance, but still there's a significant one that they would need to make an improvement to prove authority. So this is another example of a left side heavy account. And this one, the person is following nearly 2,200 people and they have 190 people following them. Now this is an account I would say is very left side heavy. Now of themselves, this isn't a problem if these people are just using Twitter for their own purposes, if they are online to possibly use it in a more recreational way. But when you're trying to promote something as an authority, and someone goes in your account and sees these figures, you will have lost their follow straight away, because they're not going to believe that you are an authority within your niche or your subject if you're not attracting followers without having to follow people in the first place. So this is something that we need to avoid, and it's something we'll need to correct. Right, some examples of right side heavy accounts, and I'm not making these anonymous because I either know the people or I don't think they would have a problem with me promoting them in a positive light. So this is, again, this is quite an old version of these accounts, and Chris is someone who I started Twitter with, and even in the earlier days, he always had a right side heavy ratio. Even though the numbers were similar-ish back then, his following numbers are probably slightly down than they were, but he's grown his account quite a lot. So you can look at him online and you'll see how he has used authority and good content to grow his account organically. But he is following less people than are following him, and that's what I mean by the right side left side ratio. And for a smaller account, it's vitally important to do this. Okay, another example of someone who has a smaller account, a newer account, but their ratio is quite evident. They're following 48. They have 146 followers. And they are going to gain new followers because of this alone. The bio is also pretty good because it tells you exactly what they do. A decent profile picture and banner. We'll go into that more in the next lesson. Now this is a bigger account, and Legacy Compass is actually now, I think he's now on about 15,000. Again, following this amount, that's how many followers he's got. So and this, even back then, he had over 11,000. And this is a big account. And again, this is quite old, so I think Art of Purpose now has a lot more followers. But again, 209 following, over 112,000 followers. He is not just an authority, he would be counted as almost like a guru within his niche because of the size of his account. So when he posts something, people believe what he's saying, and he makes a lot of money online. Okay, so delving slightly deeper into right side heavy ratio and authority. So if someone goes onto your page and they say you are following several hundred more or 1,000 more people than follow you, they'll leave your page because it's an instant psychological trigger that people will follow success, and straight away they will think this person has no authority, I'm not going to listen to what they say. So, and that means that even if you're posting extremely good content, they could disregard it because they don't believe that you show enough authority to speak on that subject. The one downside is it requires more patience to build an account in this manner, in an organic way. One of the, I wouldn't say cheats, but one of the ways to get around this is to use engagement groups. We'll talk about that in a later lesson, but there are ways to game the system and to get more eyes on your account. Okay, so now it's time for some personal evaluation. I want you to look at your own account. How many people are you following, and how many people are following you? If you have a slightly left side heavy ratio, that can be fixed by unfollowing some accounts to balance it out. We're going to cover that more in the next lesson, when we scrutinize the Twitter profiles in more detail. But in this lesson, we're connecting the authority points just so that you have it in your mind that to be a creator, you have to have authority, and to show authority, we'll have to switch things around and have a right side heavy ratio. So authority equals your profile plus focused content. Your content needs to focus on your niche and your USP, which stands for unique selling point. If you spread yourself around too many subjects, you're not going to be able to focus your content within that niche. This is something we are going to go into in a lot more detail, but just so you have it in your mind now that if you're talking about copywriting, if you're also talking about graphic design, if you're also talking about SEO, if you're talking about too many subjects, you're going to struggle to show your authority on one of them. So you have to really focus on your niche and your USP. And you will be repeating that message over and over again in different ways. So there's a couple of things though that you should realize now, because the repeated notion of authority you might feel like it excludes you if you're not an expert. That's not true. You don't need to be an expert to show authority. A lot of the time you're connecting with people who are a step or two behind you. So sometimes people will be looking to learn from someone who is just ahead of them rather than an extremely big account, because the person who's just ahead of them has made the steps that they need to make. So a lot of the time you just need to show authority rather than prove you're an expert. So don't worry that you need to be a huge account to be able to grow. You'll be able to show authority by the end of this mini course. So that's lesson 2 over. So you can revert to the action sheet, which I'll upload with this video. I'm just going to go to the action sheet now. So oops, I'm not sure what happened there. We're going to go back. Slides has not been behaving today. Let's go back. Right, I apologize for that. So in this action sheet, I want you to describe your niche and your USP in a short paragraph. So if you go to your profile, I want you to describe your current niche and your USP in one short paragraph. Now, if you're struggling to do this, it highlights that we need to work on it more. You can post your answers in the Discord group and we'll go over them individually. Luckily, it's quite a small group, so we're going to be able to do a lot more focused work on everyone. So you'll be building your authority on your niche, so it's crucial that we get this right now. So that's it for today. Again, much like the last action point, you can complete the work when you have time. You have to make sure that it doesn't interfere with your schedule. Create a limit to tasks and focuses on the ones that need to get out the way. That's it, and we'll discuss this more on the Discord server. Thanks, over and out.